Hey guys, welcome back to another Araby army update. This time I got 3 new models fully painted and varnished, and I'm fairly happy. I know one of them looks very goofy. You can see the guy right there. So I'll go into more detail for each of the models and whatever I converted and just some rambling about the project so far. So the first model I want to go in depth about, and the main focus of the video actually, is the fabled Dwarf janissary. So not many people know about this miniature. He comes from Citadel's Unreleased range of dwarves. So I don't know the full history of it. All I know is about 13 to 15 dwarves were created from Citadel. And with the rich history of Citadel, many miniatures were not fully released, like the Proto-Tyrannid. And this miniature in particular, I don't know who sculpted it. All I know, maybe about, I want to say 4 years ago, I saw a photo, maybe on Stuff of Legends, of the Dwarf Janissary, and I thought, what a lovely little miniature. And while I was working on my Araby army, it just hit me that this guy would fit perfectly into my collection. So I hunted him down. I'll be honest, he was a little bit pricey, but for being an unreleased miniature and the way he looks, I thought, it's going to be a one-off purchase. I do not mind. And he just fits the bill perfectly. So again, he's called the Dwarf Janissary, which is perfect because he required no alterations for my army. As you guys know, my version of Araby is a bit more on the historical side, not so much the Conan the Barbarian high fantasy, slightly stereotypical Araby. But I really do love the model. He looks so good. The painting, had a lot of fun with it. So actually for the painting, I will throw a photo up of the janissary artwork I actually used from probably like a history textbook. But he just looks fantastic. Now, I should note, I can kind of see why maybe he wasn't released. His mold had like a slippage, so if you look at his face, he is quite ugly. His eyes aren't centered, and if you look at it, the whole mold looked like it shifted forward maybe like a millimeter. And when you look underneath him, there's a weird gap under the musket and a very strange clump of pewter connecting the boot to the rifle. It didn't match the clothing, so I had to go in myself and just paint it like a black cloth, maybe like a handkerchief. So a few odd details here and there, but the model is still beautifully sculpted. I had a lot of fun painting the wood grain on the rifle and just deciding on the color palette I wanted to do. He, unlike my actual army, he is like 100% based on a historical janissary clothing. He looks fantastic, a huge feather. And him, I decided to go with no freehand, as he will be a character in my army, but I just thought the freehand might be a little bit too much on his small body because he has so many folds. The other miniatures I do the freehand for, it makes sense because there's so much, let's call it real estate to use. But this guy, I think because he is so rare, and I just wanted to leave him as untouched as possible, and I just love the way he turned out. He does look more like this guy to my Prince of Araby, so they both definitely have a more well, this guy is from the historical Citadel fighters, or he was heavily influenced by that, but both of them have more of a real life historical uniform or clothing attire. So really happy. He really fits perfectly into the force, and the way I'm gonna run him is just probably like a dark elf noble, just because he's so cool. If anything, I can use him as a unit champion, but I just really wanted to show you guys this miniature in particular. I'm gonna throw up some before the paint job and then random clips of me painting. Unfortunately, I enjoyed painting the model so much that after about 3 different clips of painting, I forgot to turn on my camera. This guy is really such a joy to have in the army, and it just adds a lot more character to my all Citadel out of production miniatures, so very happy with that. Sorry if there's a little bit of a ramble. I'm just couldn't contain my excitement for this guy. Just really happy to own him, and now to actually have him in my possessions and have him fully painted, I'm beyond happy. And let me move him one more time because I just realized his little hat kind of blended into the background. I decided to put a lot more white on him just to make him stand out a bit more, as I think he deserved the extra love. So up next is going to be the probably work in progress or before painting video, and then after that I'll have the second character. And here is the model before the paint job. Really lovely miniature again, quite robust and chunky, so easy to paint, and took about 3 hours to paint only. So for this stage I was just base coating the skin in my typical base color scheme. Now I should note, I should actually add variety to the skin tones of my human miniatures. I've just gotten way too comfortable painting in this method, so for now I'm just stuck with it. And at this point of the painting, I believe I'm just doing the final highlight. So my paint scheme, this is just a ramble section now for behind the scenes. It's just like a dark reddish rosy tan base coat, highlighted with Vallejo heavy skin tone and pale flesh, so no wash is needed. It's just maybe 4 to 5 layers and highlights, and then you get this very nice, healthy skin tone. At this stage, I was deciding where to put the white, so I went back and forth actually. I made the top hat white because I knew it was a focal point, and the janissary's clothing actually wraps back into their waist, which is why by the boot you see that flap. So I wanted that to be white just to add a little more interest to it. So up next is a very cute model. This is the Talisman Wizard Toad. And a little backstory, as you guys know, I've been painting Talisman. The reason my channel is even called the Kim's Talisman is because after I took a break from the old world, I jumped straight into painting Talisman because me, my fiance, and my family and friends loved playing the game. And I realized once I started painting so many of the characters, I love painting humanoid figures a lot more than demons and monsters, which is a change for me. So in Talisman, you can become a toad through various mechanics in the game, and Citadel produced 5 toads. I currently have 3 painted, including this one, and when I realized this toad had the looks to fit in my army, I knew right there and then, let's paint him up. So he has on the miniature a talisman around his neck, which is fantastic. I think the model has amazing detail, and he has a bag of coins, a book, this like genie looking hat with another gem and a feather. And the way I painted him was I was inspired by real life toads, and I put some markings on him, and the only color I kind of questioned was the purple feather in his cap. And now looking at it, I am fairly happy with him. I think he does still fit into my Araby army quite a bit. Sorry, I'm fidgeting with him a lot. I just love the miniature. What I was going to use this guy was actually the familiar for my my little shaman with his little little monkey. So like I mentioned before, my Araby army is having a lot of wildlife and exotic wildlife. So what would I use the toad for in the game? He would either be a lore familiar, is that what it's called? Whatever familiar the dark elves have, I would use this weird looking little toad creature, or I would actually use him as just a basic warrior model. Now, I'm sure my opponents may question why I'm doing that. I just like having variety in the units, and when you look at the toad, he just fits. I don't know. You guys in the comments tell me if I'm crazy, but I think the toad fits perfectly into my little fighting force, and I should note, honestly, he was very hard to come by. All the other toads I'm actually currently selling or I sold 2 of my Talisman toads on my eBay store, but the wizard toad, he was hard to find. I'd say you're gonna pay at least 20 bucks for him. You can find him for more expensive prices, but it's a little bit crazy just for a toad. You know, it's like a familiar model, nothing crazy. But he is quite detailed, and I do think he is the best looking toad of the range. Just so much detail, so much character. And it's funny because he kind of matches now the is it the new released Empire wizard kit comes with the Wizard of Elementalism, and he has like a toad holding all of these books and his equipment. So when I saw that, I knew maybe I also want a toad in my fighting force. But really happy. Actually, I zoomed in a bit more. You can see the detail in the eyes and everything about him. Again, my paint style isn't the best. It's very illustrated, very cartoony, but I think it fits the model. And I had to build this amazing giant mound of rock. All the Citadel toads come with like the old lipped base, so I had to basically create a rock around him so he isn't sitting strange. But yeah, sorry about hitting that. But really happy with him. Fantastic model. Not much else to talk about. So the last miniature will be the Talisman Saracen. So up next is actually the third Talisman Saracen I've painted. And this miniature, I'm really upset because I lost the footage of it. I took the green stuff work in progress. So long story short, this is the official Talisman miniature, unmodified. This was the one I painted about a month and a half ago. This is the same one, untouched, same pose. So the video was going to show I had sliced the head from the Talisman miniature, put it forward, and I had to sculpt basically the whole cloth around the cape region. I had to resculpt. So this whole middle section is fully sculpted, and this miniature, the seller broke the feather. I had to sculpt the whole feather. So I was quite upset. I didn't actually have, the footage was corrupted. I don't know what happened. My phone's getting a little bit old, but I wanted to share with the behind the scenes of how do you convert a static model into a slightly different pose. And even for how small of a difference, I think it's actually, it makes an impact. So like when I pull back with the camera, you can see the generic models are looking to the left, but now with him looking forward, his whole demeanor I think changes actually, and I'm quite happy. He looks like a guard on duty now. I'm really happy with it. I think this miniature in particular from Citadel is fantastic. I believe Ali Morrison sculpted this one. One of, again, Talisman, the best range Citadel had sculpted, I believe, or rather my opinion. And these Saracen models they sculpted really, I think, should have defined what Araby looks like. So much detail. I know someone else in the comments below just picked up a Talisman Saracen 2 to add to their own Araby project. It's a miniature that really should get more love, and unfortunately they are hard to come by, and you'll be lucky if the feather on top isn't broken. Again, this is a green stuff feather. The other two in the back are unbroken. Now I am very fortunate. I do own, I think, 8 or 9 more that I'm going to add to the unit. But getting this miniature is a little bit hard. Price-wise, you're probably going to be paying, again, 20 bucks probably, maybe a little bit higher depending on the condition of the model. But I personally think it's worth it to have such a beautiful miniature from Citadel's golden era. Back to the painting, he matched the same paint style as my 2 others. Only difference is I'm going to start changing all of the freehand to make the unit a bit more variety. So for this one, instead of the black Leviathan and these cool little symbols, I went for more of like the moon, which is I guess Araby's main icon, like a star and some otherworldly type of effects. I think he came out fairly well, and again, I really do love the the new pose. All of the models I'll sculpt for this unit will be just slightly different poses. I don't want to go too crazy and make the unit a huge time sink. But yeah, that's pretty much the gist of the Saracen. The army is making great progress, and next time when I start making the other Saracens, I will have a behind the scenes video. This time I just forgot about it. And guys, as usual, I wanted to do the army current stage progress. It's been really motivational just to always put everything out on the table to see how far I'm coming along. And I do believe the Araby is making decent time, with all things considered, with how much I'm converting, the painting, and just having time to sit down and think about the lore and army list, of course. It's been quite fun, but also at the same time quite exhausting. This may be my most intense old world army. I know I have one other project in the works, but this one, hopefully I have it done within the next month or two. That is the, I guess, current goal. Realistically, probably won't happen. And I'm pretty happy about this, especially with all the words of encouragement I've been getting from people. It's cool to see others doing Araby and hearing others doing different projects from the old world. As you guys know, there's so much rich lore in Warhammer and forgotten races that I do encourage everyone to start maybe looking a bit deeper. And if you don't know how to paint, let's say you're collecting Empire, maybe take a step back and still play Empire, but convert them to be from Kislev. There's so many cool regions, even Tylea, you have Estelia. This is such a rich and robust 30 years of history. So if you're ever in a small hobby, I guess, burnout, or don't know how to paint your old world models, I encourage you guys to start looking at the lore and then just be inspired. That's what happened here. I took a couple months away from the game and I thought about Araby. My older brother actually was probably one of my sources of inspiration for this army, as he used to talk about Araby back many years ago, and it just hit me that maybe it's time that I make an army for him. So I hope you guys are enjoying this. Many more updates to come, and hopefully the army will be done within the next month or two.